Hello and welcome to Casting Roles. I'm Josh, your Game Master, and thank you for joining us for another episode of The Story So Far. These are a series of videos in which we're introducing new viewers, as well as helping remind older viewers of the events of Season 1 and Season 2 in preparation for the premiere of Season 3 in July. In this video, we'll be introduced to the first major arc of our story campaign from the very first session until episode 22 of the mainstream. As always, if you'd like to reach out to the show, you can find us on Twitter at Casting Roles and on Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram at Casting Roles ILM. With the premiere of Season 3 in July, we're also going to be releasing a new podcast, which will go back to the very beginning of the stream and begin uploading our episodes from episode 1 all the way through to the present. These streams will be broken up into about hour-long segments, so some episodes will be 1 or 2 parts, but it will be a great opportunity for people to either jump into the show or review past events. So look out for information about that coming soon. But with no other announcements, let's go ahead and jump into the very first episode of the story so far. The Ticket Takers, Arc 1. Just a normal D&D party? So our story begins with a very simple premise. There are 5 adventurers who are all coming together to the town of Broadfield in order to join an adventurers guild. On the day the Adventuring Guild premieres, Broadfield is hum with activity, having a festival to celebrate this momentous day. And a pretty typical D&D party has gathered here. There's a giant Goliath, a wise wizard, a powerful ranger, a cleric, and they are not the focus of this show. Meanwhile, a smorgasbord of random individuals, a human artificer from a far-off island, a blood hunter, Order of the Lycan, a druid, Otterkin, Lutrinian druid, and a Ratkin monk, as well as, in these early episodes, a bard dragonborn. They also form a group, and these two groups end up going against each other in a competition to see who would be the founding members of the Adventurers Guild. And to the surprise of everybody, the Ticket Takers, as they called themselves, came out on top, defeating the other group with the much more serious name, the Slaughterers. Once the Ticket Takers had established themselves as the winning team, they were given their first task to form the Adventurers Guild and went off to the town of Ipswich, where they helped them deal with a gnoll problem. They also realized that they needed to gather some funds to pay the registration costs for the guild, and traveled to the town of Inniswood, where they fought against some giant beavers in the woods to destroy a dam that had blocked off the river. There they also met a dragon that didn't like humans too much. They then traveled to Northwick, south of Broadfield, where they defeated some kobolds, but that's not really the important part. They met Menorah and her deadbeat husband Gideon, and fell in love with the Northwick buns for the very first time, which became the focus of the campaign, or at least a recurring joke. While they were dealing with the kobold threat, however, the very first backstory information really came out as the kobolds, who had kind of gone mad and were attacking the town of Northwick, were revealed to be part of a cult. They called themselves the Children of the New Gods. This group of kobolds were worshipping a picture of a man who looked very much like a human in a violet robe, which Saurus, our Ratkin monk, just realized matched the description very closely of the man who scientifically and magically created him. And it was revealed that Saurus actually it was a magical experiment. Also during this time, the Ticket Takers met for the first time a group called Vox Populi, a revolutionary organization of lower to middle class individuals fighting against the corruption of the rich and powerful in Alyria. Returning to Broadfield from their excursions with the money and the necessary right to form the guild, they were informed by Roland that actually there are some bigger concerns. The guild master would be coming to approve the guild's construction in about 3 days' time. But before that, there was a threat from a man named Soren Nerida that the town of Broadfield was going to be burned down for not repaying a debt. The Ticket Takers decided to face off against Soren Nerida and managed to defeat him. However, it was revealed that Soren Nerida not only was just some ruffian, he was a member of the Tidewater Syndicate, a group of pirates from the Vanishing Isles, and also apparently another organization that nobody knew about a priori, a group that seemed bent on some kind of power grab within this area of Alyria. Needing a respite from their days of fighting and traveling, the ticket takers traveled to a local library/monastery to do some research, and also to take part in a celebration. The Day of Ascension occurred during that time to celebrate the god Metasansi, the god of knowledge, creation, and the arts. They watched some cool performances, as well as saw some cool creations from an artificing group. They met a group called the Star Speakers that momentarily charmed Mar, and then they decided to kind of get drunk and have fun and enjoy their day. Little did they know that their day would be interrupted by the rising of the full moon. And on that full moon, for the first time, the group realized that Marlowe was not who she said she was. Giving in to the influence of the moon, Marlowe tore off into the woods, transforming into her werewolf form. And the group, not realizing that she had gone, began to follow her tracks and discovered pools of blood and beast tracks, and they thought that she had been taken by a beast of some kind. They chased her into the woods and discovered her fighting alongside two Fey-touched wolves, Hati and Skull, the god of summer and the god of winter, who had come to this area to take part in the rite of spring, where they traded their powers and brought the peaceful passing of the seasons. However, while they were there, they were attacked by the former members of the Slaughterers, who were now also working for a group called A Priori to sow discord and chaos within the Riverlands. And during the fight, in which one of the wolves was almost killed, they released a portal which summoned devils into the Riverlands. The ticket takers managed to put down the threat, and Hati and Skull revealed to Marlowe that there is perhaps a chance to cure her of her werewolf curse, something that she thought was not possible. The group kind of comes together the next morning, revealing that Abel somewhat has a little bit of a problem with shapeshifters due to issues of his own people's past in dealing with the shapeshifting and often changing Rakshasa. However, they managed to forge ahead and head back to Broadfield for the arrival of Darkon Cerulean and the princess, one of Abel's really good friends, as well as Abel's father. That day, the guild is officially created, and the Ticket Takers is not just a group of adventurers, they are the official Adventurers Guild for the world. With their new title, they decide to investigate some of the artifacts left behind from Soren Nerida, as well as some of the other pieces that they'd put together from the threat to the Riverlands, and realize that the next major threat that the Tidewarders and A Priori seemed to be focusing on was the town of Feldspar, a mining community famous for being the single source of quicksilver for Alyria. However, before they went down that path, they decided to finish up a few loose ends around Broadfield, and they traveled to the final job that was offered to them as early adventurers, to save a rich woman's cat, only to discover that the cat was actually a Displacer Beast, and that the Displacer Beast was a prisoner in her menagerie, which was also filled with other magical creatures that didn't want to be there and were prisoners, and that, hey, she used to have a couple of werewolves that were friends of Marlowe under her control and command, who had somehow been escaped or taken away. And needless to say, the Ticket Takers allowed the freed now Displacer Beast to get his revenge against the woman who had put him under chains, and they just simply walked away. Within her menagerie, they discovered a Kelpie who wanted to go back home to the Feywild, and so they went into the Deepwood, where a sleeping Empyrean dragon was dreaming up rifts to the Feywild, and Marlowe took the group into the Fae and returned the Kelpie to their home. There, they met Robin Goodfellow and made an unfortunate, or maybe fortunate, pact. You never know with Fae. And on their passage out, they were chased by the Wild Hunt and fought a Hydra made of flowers, and then they finally escaped back into another portal, which took them to Romulus Keep, which is Mars' order. There, the group kind of met people important to Mars' past, which is not many of them. And then they made their way back to Broadfield and boarded the airship on the way to Hightower. However, during the journey, they were attacked by a mysterious group of air pirates wielding advanced technology, weapons technology far beyond many in Alyria, on board an Nuavian airship. Managing to put down the threat, the Ticket Takers not only defeated the pirating group of attackers, but also captured their own vessel and then made their way onto Hightower, the first major city in the campaign, and the beginning of Season 2. So stick around for next week, where we'll explore Season 2, maybe split that into two. It was a longer season of the campaign. We'll meet a new character. The Watch Bureau had to leave the campaign after only a few issues because Watch needed to go take care of business elsewhere. But thank you so much for joining us. And again, stay tuned for the story so far next week and the beginning of Season 3 in July. We are so excited to have you here. See you next time.